Hey guys, welcome back. Now we're going to talk about the history of crime. What do we know about the history of crime in America? Go ahead and open the milestones in history and crime history timeline on your screen. We're going to discuss the major crimes throughout American history. In America, crime waves have come and gone, including an 1850 to 1880 crime epidemic that was apparently related to social upheaval caused by large-scale immigration and the Civil War. A burst of widespread organized criminal activity was associated with the Prohibition years of the early 20th century. In the 1960s, the civil rights movement of the period emphasized equality of opportunity and respect for individuals regardless of race, color, creed, gender, or personal attributes. This period also saw a dramatic increase in reported criminal activity. Reports of crimes such as murder, rape, and assault increased considerably. As new laws were passed and suits filed, court involvement in the movement grew. Soon a plethora of hard-won individual rights and prerogatives based on the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the new federal and state legislation were recognized and guaranteed. By the 1980s, this emphasis on individual rights was accompanied by a dramatic increase in reported criminal activity. A decade later, a few spectacular crimes that received widespread coverage in the news media fostered a sense among the American public that crime in the United States was out of hand and that strict new measures were needed to combat it. One such crime was the 1995 bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City by anti-government extremists. Another was the 1999 Columbine High School massacre in Colorado that left 12 students and one teacher dead. Now we're going to move on. Then, an event that changed the course of our society. Public tragedy became forever joined with private victimization in our collective consciousness after a series of highly destructive and well-coordinated terrorist attacks on New York City and Washington, D.C. on September 11, 2001. I can still remember this day like it was yesterday. Those attacks resulted in the collapse and total destruction of the Twin Towers, World Trade Center, and a devastating explosion at the Pentagon. Thousands of people perished and many were injured. Law enforcement and security agencies were unable to prevent those attacks. This enforced them to move from a reactive to a proactive posture in the fight against terrorism. 9/11 also made clear that adequate law enforcement involves a global effort of controlling crime and reducing the risk of injury and loss to law-abiding people, both at home and abroad. The attack showed that criminal incidents that take place on the other side of the globe can impact those of us living in the United States, and they illustrated how the acquisition of skills needed to understand diverse cultures can help in the fight against crime and terrorism. Okay, so let's talk about today. The current era is characterized by low and declining rates of traditional crimes, such as rape, robbery, and burglary. The specter of random mass shootings, a high number of inner-city murders, and novel forms of criminal activity complicates today's crime picture. What has recently happened that is defined as a crime? Do you think they were crimes? As you see in this picture, I'm sure you can think of one recent event that has occurred in our society that has impacted all of us in some way. I want you to think about those two questions I just asked you. One, what has recently happened that is defined as a crime? And two, do you think they were crimes? I want you guys to think of those questions and post on Class Dojo of your thoughts. And see you guys in the next video.